Okay, so we're doing another ending clip in my office here. I did that in that last video there, and I realized I really like it in here. It's quite an interesting way to do it because I finally have my office in a way that I really like. You know, I've got the pie cupboard here, I've got some cool photography behind me, all this stuff. It's actually coming together in here really nicely. Anyway, let's talk about this stool. So this stool was another really simple project. Again, there's kind of a stream of really simple projects that are going to be coming out on my channel right now. I'm very busy with work. It's absolutely exhausting going and being at work every day. So I'm trying to slow it down and work on some smaller stuff. But I do have a couple furniture pieces in the works, and you guys will get to see those videos whenever they finally come out. But anyway, the purpose of this small project here, this small little shaker style stool, was just to get some practice working on the lathe. Now, one of the ideas that I really like about the lathe is making round objects. There's a lot of round objects that I've really wanted to get into making, just different ways, and a lathe just seemed like a really interesting way of working. And so one of the biggest stresses I've had since I decided to buy the lathe was how am I actually going to use this to make furniture? Now, I'm not someone that's very good at being patient. And so by that, I mean taking the time to make 4 individual legs and have them all look similar to each other is very challenging for me, just in the fact of having to take the time to make 4 of them. I'm someone that would much rather make a jig, knock it out really quickly, and then just kind of be done with it. But one of the things I want to try and work with this lathe is I want to slow down and kind of just enjoy the process more. Because turning objects on the lathe is surprisingly relaxing. One of the reasons I've put off getting a lathe for so long, I've wanted one for a couple of years now, basically since I got into woodworking, because it seems like a really cool idea. But the problem is that for one, they actually terrify me because, spinning objects, really scary. And 2, I just never really had a good idea of what I would use it for. But since I got this lathe, the ideas have just kind of started flowing. You're going to see a lot of videos coming out over the next month or so here of, purely focused around this lathe, because it's just kind of completely changed my mindset. And so one of the things you'll notice if you look back at my channel is most of the furniture that I've done so far is very shaker and craftsman inspired. Those are kind of the 2 big genres of furniture that I take a lot of inspiration from. Most of the books that I have are shaker and craftsman furniture. And one of the big styles in shaker furniture is these kind of round post legs. Again, this is a shaker style stool taken from a shaker handbook that I have. So it's basically just, it's a very old school stool that was designed by the Shakers, and it's a really cool idea to just make a nice simple project. And so surprisingly enough, one of the things I will say about this is that I absolutely love how this came out, but I also kind of hate it because the turned legs are absolutely perfect. Each one of them, they are so similar to each other that when I told my family that these were all individually made, they were actually genuinely impressed by it. So that I think is pretty cool. The fact that I was able to get all 4 of these legs almost identical looking to each other is awesome. Now, where I screwed up on this project is drilling the holes, which again, this is one of those things that before I get into any really big projects using the lathe here, I need to figure this out. Because what ended up happening is when I set up that jig on the drill press to drill these holes, my angle is just a little bit off. So typically you would want that corner to be exactly, or you'd want this piece to be 45 degrees from that bit at that 10-degree angle that we had it set up with the drill press. And so angles are one of those things that I'm still trying to learn in woodworking. I find them very confusing, but they're something that I need to learn about because I want to incorporate them into some furniture in the future. And so all I would do differently if I was to do this whole project again is I would definitely take my time a little bit more and set up the jig on the drill press just a little bit more precisely. And so the slight problem here is because we didn't get this angle perfectly 45 degrees from the corner, our legs are all kind of pointed in a little bit different directions. They don't point nicely towards each corner. They kind of point a little bit to the side, which again, unless you're a woodworker, unless you're looking at this stool upside down, when you're using it as a stool, it doesn't make any difference. But when you're inspecting it, as us woodworkers tend to do, you will notice a slight, they're all kind of off a little bit on the angle, which again, this is the first time I've ever done any woodworking piece with angles in it. So I'm pretty impressed I was even able to make that angle nicely. So overall, again, really successful, really awesome project. This was also my first time doing a wedged mortise and tenon of any kind. So that is a pretty cool thing too. Definitely, again, something I need to work on in the future, but something I'm definitely going to try and incorporate in more actual furniture pieces. Up until now, things like the pie cupboard back there, it's all enclosed mortise and tenon where you don't actually get to see anything really interesting about it. What I would like to start doing more is a lot more through mortise and tenon and wedged like this because it just looks so much cooler, showing off that joinery and making that joint just look a lot more interesting. So again, this is a project that is, although it's a fairly simple project, it is going to be, it's something that holds a lot of small lessons and a lot of, and brings in a lot of really good understanding for me. So I'm definitely going to be trying to do some more stuff like this in the future here. I'm probably going to make another stool sometime soon here because it's just such a cool little thing. Like, it's just such a utilitarian little object that is just genuinely so beautiful that it's that perfect shaker design where it's totally a useful object, but it's also just beautifully crafted. And so it's definitely something that I want to explore further in the future because, again, this is about as simple as it gets. And I'm sure that there are ways to make it more interesting and to expand upon an idea like this to just create stuff that is a lot more exciting. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this little project here. Again, nice, simple project. If you guys are new to getting a lathe, I would highly recommend something like this. If you have any, if you look at any of the books about shaker furniture on Amazon, pretty much every book I have about shaker furniture has this stool in it, so you can find the dimensions there. And so as always, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.